Today at the House of Eldridge, I have jewellery designer Stephanie Simon, and I'm going to be doing a makeup look on her. Whenever I see Stephanie out, she never has any makeup on, but she's always talking about makeup, how much she loves it, how much she loves watching my videos and buying all the products. So when I asked her, how come you never have any makeup on yourself? It's because she's terrified of applying makeup. She doesn't know how to do it, but she loves the idea of a really glamorous look. So I've left it up to her to choose the look she goes for today, and she said the things she's most inspired by are the kind of quite glamorous Studio 54 70s disco type of looks, and she loves sort of Bianca Jagger and those sorts of people. So I am going to do an updated modern version of that type of makeup, and because Stephanie's not used to makeup, I'm going to obviously do quite a wearable version of that, so I hope she's going to like it. So I've already done Stephanie's base. I used the YSL Touche Eclat foundation, and I used 80 mixed with some 60, and I have used NARS Pro Prime as a primer. Now for eyes, I'm going to use this beautiful bronze palette from Tom Ford, and I absolutely love these colours. I use them a lot in my kit. So this is the shade at the bottom left hand of the palette, and it's just a really beautiful classic bronze. So I'm going to use this all over Stephanie's lids, and this palette works well on everyone. I've used it on every type of skin tone, hair colour. If you want a really great bronze glam eye, it's a great one. Now I'm going to use the shade at the bottom right hand corner of the palette, and this is just a darker, almost cocoa-y colour, slightly redder as well, sort of purpley really. So this is unusual for you to have eye makeup on, Stephanie.
Oh, absolutely.
You just would never just have got the nerve to wear it, or you just don't feel...
Well, I've got the nerve to wear it, just not the ability to apply it. So I think instead of going out looking like I'm from Carnival, it might be best to get a professional like yourself. Just don't have the confidence, perhaps, but absolutely the desire.
So I'm just really working that darker shade in at the outer corner and right along the socket line. So I haven't done any concealing yet, so if any little bits drop down, we can clean them up. Okay, before I move on, I'm going to use some black pencil. I'm going to use this one by Makeup Forever, which is Aqua Eyes in black, which is a really long-lasting one. Am I okay to put a little bit inside your eye?
Yeah.
Stephanie, yeah. Look up for me. It's going to go along there. And then close your eyes for me. And I'm also going to go right into the roots here. The lashes all the way along, so just lifting up the brow. And the thing is, if you use a nice soft pencil, it doesn't have to be a perfect line. It's more about getting it into the roots of lashes and almost doing like little circles and scribbling really. And then you can always use a Q-tip or a little bit of eyeshadow, whatever, just to smudge in afterwards. And I think if you kind of don't worry too much about doing this perfect looking line, then it's much easier. Look up for me. And the same thing underneath. I'm going along just underneath where we applied before, and this will all be smudged out later, so just sort of doing a line there, and then you can always use a Q-tip. I'm actually going to smudge it with eyeshadow in a second, but just to show you, it's quite easy even using something as simple as a Q-tip. So I'm just going to go over the top of this pencil with a gel liner just to increase the intensity. And these are really easy to use, Stephanie gels, because they don't dry as quickly as liquid liners. And if you've already mapped out roughly with a pencil where you're going to be, you just draw over the top and they're very creamy. Just going to lift up that outer corner. So I'm going to use the same dark shade, the cocoa-y shade. Look up for me, Steph, and just smudge in this black underneath a bit more. Am I alright to curl your eyelashes, Stephanie?
Yeah.
You just open your eyes for me and just look down and just focus on something. For mascara, I'm going to use Organic Glam in black. I'm going to use the really shimmery bronze shade that's in this palette. I'm using it with fingers because I find that it goes on best with fingers. It just kind of clings over the top. And I'm going to put that all over the centre really. going into the inner corner.
In general, Lisa, when you're doing this, is it really imperative to have all the right brushes, or can one use Q-tips?
It depends what look you're doing. You don't need loads of brushes. If you're doing, for example, just a smudgy liner or a very simple eyeshadow, then you can use Q-tips, definitely. You can apply with fingers, you can use Q-tips. But if you're using, like today I'm using 3 or 4 different shades on your eyes and I'm trying to kind of shape them a little bit, then you do need at least 1 or 2, I think, blending brushes, because they are the things that really make the makeup look beautiful, you know, give them that lovely blended seamless look, and it's very hard to achieve with fingers or Q-tips, sadly.
I'll invest.
But 1 or 2 really good blending brushes, I mean, 1 to blend with and 1 clean one that you can just buff everything in with, I think is really worth it.
I guess I also have to remember that I'm not trying to do something when I go out that needs to be this perfect, because I'm not under this light, I'm not in front of a camera, and I'm just out there doing something at a party where it might be slightly dark, and all I'm going for is effect and not perfection.
Exactly. Great. Very good point. So for this, even with this palette that I've used today, if you're going to a party, just using that glittery one, the one that I've just put on with your fingers all over your lid with mascara, would look fabulous and would be more than enough, and you wouldn't actually need any brushes. Perfect. And then if you wanted to take it to the next level, you could use a darker one to shade into the socket line, but maybe you should work up to that.
Okay, you're using words like socket and it's getting far too technical, so I think what I'll do is I'll
start with the one colour. I think one colour is fine for eyes. That's all you need. So I'm finishing off with the lightest shade from the palette. This is the sort of highlighter, if you like, peachy shade. And because we're going quite 70s today, I'm going to put quite a bit of that just under your brow, right onto your brow bone there. So I'm using the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, which is a really nice product. It doesn't crease. It's long lasting and it gives good coverage without looking cakey. And then concealing any other areas, so a little bit around the mouth, because we're going to be using quite a strong lipstick. Going to use Tom Ford's Shade and Illuminate palette now in shade number 2 for some contouring. So I'm just going to apply some powder before we move on. Just doing your blusher. I'm using this really beautiful colour by NARS.
So when we do blush, do we follow the same line as our contour? Is it necessary to have that as well, or could we just do it alone?
You could just do it alone. You really don't need to contour, especially for every day. I mean, some people, it's their thing, but it's a relatively new thing, to be honest, for everyone to be contouring all the time and it to be such a fashionable thing at the moment. But you're perfectly fine just to put a little bit of blusher on during the day without the contour.
And how do you control it to make it look natural?
Just put a little bit onto the brush, take most of it off on the back of your hand, and then add a little bit, whether you're using, even if you're using a cream, kind of take a little bit off before you apply and build up slowly. It's the best way to put blusher on, or bronzer in fact. Put a little bit on, you might think, oh, there's hardly any, but when you step back and look in the mirror, probably got quite a bit more on than you thought. And then if you haven't, you can add a bit more. But as soon as you put way too much on, you sort of straight from the product onto the skin, it's very, very hard to successfully take it down and make it look natural again. So I just forgot to do your brows, Stephanie. I'm going to do them now. I'm going to use a little bit of powder, and your brows are beautiful. I hardly want to do anything to them. I'm just going to shape them and fill them in a tiny bit. This is one of my favourite little eyebrow products. It's a Shivata brow gel, and it really not only keeps them in place but gives them a lovely glossy finish, and I use this a lot on everyone. It's kind of like super lustrous glossy brows. Without even looking at what it looks like, or seeing what it looks like, I should say, I just really want it already. This you could definitely use. It's so easy. You just comb through them.
I just like the idea of what it does.
Of a glossy brow, yeah. So on to lips, and we're going to do a really dark glossy lip. Going to start with this Chestnut pencil by MAC. I'm going to put this all over your lips, and this is a really beautiful, sumptuous shade. If you put all over your lips to start with, it just gives a really good stain because we're doing quite a full-on lip. I'm just going to use a lip brush just to smooth the lip liner in. And for lip colour, I'm going to use NARS, and this is Palais Royale, and it's one of their satin lip pencils. It's a really quite glossy, deep, rich purpley red. Very glam. You can use them straight from the pencil like that, or you can take your lip brush if you want to be more precise and just take the colour off the pencil when you're first applying it, and then you can just use the pencil for touch-ups. So that's your lips done, and it's a really great colour. I love that colour on you.
And I love this colour too. I'm a real NARS fan.
It's really,
these pencils
such
are
a
amazing.
good colour. And they are great. I'm going to put some fake eyelashes on you, a couple. Have you ever had those on before?
I could barely draw a straight line with my lip pencil. So
well, this is going to be fun. Just look down for me. I'm going to put individuals on because I think they won't feel as weird if you're not used to fake lashes. I'm going to just give a little bit of extra glamour to your eye makeup. So as a finishing touch, I'm going to add these highlighting pearls, which are very golden, and just put those along top of the cheekbones, which is very 70s disco glamour. Definitely very Studio 54 to be highlighted up to the hilt. Okay, my dear, have a look in the mirror.
It's amazing. I love it. It's everything I wanted. I wanted to not look like me, and it's fantastic. Thank you so much.
I feel very glam.
I feel so glam. I wish I had somewhere to go. I think I might just walk around shops all afternoon.
Okay.